For millions of years, Earth was home to more than one kind of human. It was once a world shared by a remarkable cast of ancient species, relatives of ours, scattered across the continents. Today, Homo sapiens stands alone, but our dominance is a very recent chapter in a story that stretches deep into prehistory. A story once filled with diversity, rivalry, and survival. Names like Neanderthal, Homo erectus, and Homo habilis have become icons of our evolutionary past. Yet beyond these well-known figures, there existed others, species that shaped our origins in ways we are only beginning to understand. Among them is one of the most mysterious humans ever discovered, Homo antecessor, the pioneer man. Its face, both familiar and strange, sits at a critical crossroads in human evolution. For decades, scientists have debated where it truly belongs in our family tree. Was it a direct ancestor of modern humans, a cousin, or something else entirely? Now, thanks to an extraordinary breakthrough, the sequencing of ancient proteins, that mystery is finally beginning to unravel. For generations, fossils were the only roadmap to our past. Bones and teeth, their shapes and sizes, were clues used to trace our ancestral lines. But fossils, no matter how precious, can only tell part of the story. They are incomplete, fragmented, and open to interpretation. Then came DNA, a revolution in the study of evolution. With it, scientists could read the very code of life itself, uncovering secrets that fossils could never reveal. Ancient DNA told us that Homo sapiens once interbred with Neanderthals and the mysterious Denisovans of Siberia. It revealed migrations, family ties, and even diseases carried by our ancient ancestors. But DNA, as powerful as it is, has one fatal weakness: it doesn't last. After about 500,000 years, it begins to decay, breaking into fragments too small and damaged to study. And that's a problem, because the most critical chapters of human evolution, the rise and diversification of our early ancestors, took place before that cutoff. Entire species remain genetically silent, their DNA lost to time. That's where a new science steps in: proteomics, the study of ancient proteins. Proteins are the machinery of life, built from chains of amino acids. Unlike DNA, they are far more resilient, capable of surviving for millions of years within the mineral structure of fossilized bones and teeth. And while they don't carry the same detailed code as DNA, their amino acid sequences still hold evolutionary fingerprints, subtle molecular variations that distinguish one species from another. By comparing those protein sequences from fossils with those of modern humans and other primates, scientists can reconstruct the family ties of extinct species long beyond the reach of DNA. And it's this groundbreaking technique that has brought new light to one of the greatest enigmas in our evolutionary story: Homo antecessor. In 1994, deep in the Sierra de Atapuerca mountains of northern Spain, archaeologists unearthed something extraordinary. At a site known as Grandolina, within a layer of earth called TD6, they found the fossilized remains of at least 6 individuals, including children, bones, teeth, and fragments of skulls, preserved for over 800,000 years. These were the remains of Homo antecessor, a species that would challenge everything we thought we knew about early humans. It was unlike anything discovered before, with a blend of primitive features reminiscent of Homo erectus and others eerily similar to modern humans. For decades, its place in the human story remained uncertain, until now. Thanks to a new technique using the world's oldest surviving proteins, scientists have finally begun to piece together the genetic identity of this elusive ancestor. And what they discovered could rewrite the entire timeline of human evolution. What they uncovered in the hills of northern Spain were not ordinary fossils. These ancient bones belonged to a species that would ignite one of the most heated debates in the history of human evolution. The remains were unlike anything scientists had seen before, a strange mosaic of traits that defied easy classification. The teeth were large and heavily enameled, built for endurance, primitive, more in line with Homo erectus, or even older ancestors like Homo rudolfensis. Yet the face told a very different story: a double-arched brow ridge, a forward-projecting midface, and a remarkably flat profile, features strikingly close to those of modern humans. It was a face both ancient and familiar, a bridge between worlds. The species was named Homo antecessor, Latin for the pioneer man, and fittingly, it seemed to stand at the threshold of humanity itself. From the moment of its discovery, Homo antecessor sparked fierce debate. Could this be the long-sought common ancestor? The one species linking modern humans, Neanderthals, and Denisovans? Or was it merely a cousin, an evolutionary offshoot that vanished before history began? The fossils hinted at a creature that stood between 1.6 and 1.8 meters tall, roughly 5.5 feet in height. They lived by crafting simple stone tools from flint, crude flakes, and choppers that, while basic, were effective enough to butcher animals and survive the unforgiving Ice Age environment. For decades, the mystery endured. Scientists debated its origins, its role, its connection to us. But the evidence remained elusive because DNA, the ultimate key to ancestry, could not survive the 800,000 years that separated Homo antecessor from us until now. At the University of Copenhagen, a team of scientists set out to attempt the impossible. They would not look for DNA. They would search for proteins, the molecular workhorses of life itself. From a single fossilized tooth, they extracted a fragment of enamel no larger than a grain of rice. To most, it looked insignificant, but within that sliver lay a microscopic archive of biological history. Tooth enamel is nature's vault. Rich in minerals, dense in structure, it protects the protein sealed inside for hundreds of thousands, even millions, of years. Using advanced techniques, researchers isolated peptides, the tiny amino acid chains that make up proteins, and mapped 7 distinct protein sequences from within the enamel. Among them, they identified one especially important fragment, a Y chromosome peptide, proof that this individual had been male. With this data, the team began the next phase, comparison. They meticulously cross-referenced these ancient protein sequences with those of modern humans, Neanderthals, Denisovans, and even chimpanzees and gorillas, seeking patterns of molecular similarity that could reveal evolutionary kinship. What they discovered changed everything. The results showed that Homo antecessor was not the direct ancestor of humans, Neanderthals, or Denisovans, but rather a close relative of their shared ancestor. In other words, Homo antecessor didn't sit on the main branch of our evolutionary tree. It grew alongside it, as a sister lineage, a parallel story unfolding at the same moment in prehistory, a species not destined to become us, but one that mirrored us, a near reflection of what we might have been. This revelation was monumental. It confirmed that Homo antecessor occupied a critical crossroads in human evolution, one that bridged the earliest archaic humans with the lineage that would eventually give rise to Homo sapiens. But even more importantly, it proved the power of a new science, ancient proteomics. By decoding proteins, researchers could now probe fossils far older than the reach of DNA, unlocking chapters of our history once thought forever lost. For the first time, science had found a way to listen to the echoes of life beyond the limits of time. And through those echoes, a once-forgotten species finally spoke again. As science pushes further into the shadows of prehistory, a new frontier is opening before us, one written not in DNA but in proteins. This breakthrough, known as paleoproteomics, is more than just another tool in human origins research. It's a time machine, capable of reaching into ages long before DNA could ever survive. Through it, we can now listen to the whispers of species that vanished millions of years ago, ancient cousins whose stories were once thought to be lost forever. What other unknown humans once walked beside our ancestors? How did early populations move, mingle, and evolve across a changing planet? And how many missing links still lie buried beneath layers of stone, waiting to be uncovered? For the first time, we have the power to ask those questions, and the means to finally find their answers. The study of Homo antecessor has proven one thing beyond doubt, that the story of our evolution is far older, far more complex, and far more connected than we ever imagined. By decoding the proteins preserved in fossils long beyond the reach of DNA, scientists have opened a new window into our past, one that could completely reshape the human family tree. And as technology advances, as techniques become more refined, we may one day map, with astonishing clarity, the entire journey that led from our earliest ancestors to us. Until then, the search continues, because every fossil, every fragment, every ancient molecule brings us one step closer to understanding where we came from and what it truly means to be human.